This ramble is going to be about the Nintendo Switch. So brace yourselves, because this is basically just a hype piece. So Nintendo has recently announced their brand new console as of late, known as the Nintendo Switch. This console was known as the NX to its fans for a long time, but is now known simply as the Switch. What is the Nintendo Switch? Well, as you can see in the commercial trailer, if you just, go watch it if you haven't, or I'll put a little bit of the footage here on the screen for you, it's basically a device that, I guess what I would call the perfect Nintendo device. You see, when I play Nintendo games, I'm usually going to be playing them on the console, typically, especially nowadays that I'm an adult, and I don't, have as many car or bus rides where I'm just doing a whole lot of waiting around on other people. I don't really have that experience anymore, considering I drive to the places that I go. I choose to do things when I want to do them, or I have work, and I don't have time to play video games like that, or handhelds at work most of the time. I would have it, time to do that in relatively sort of small instances, but whatever. Anyways, so basically the Nintendo Switch is my ideal Nintendo console. It is a portable that also acts as a, physical home console. And that sounds really, really awesome. So basically what you do is, according to the trailer at least, is you have the game on your TV, you walk up to your Nintendo Switch and you grab the things, you put on the little controller slots onto the Switch, and then you pull it out of the base station that was causing it to shoot the signal to your TV, and it goes right to the gamepad thing that is functioning at the base, and I believe is technically the console itself. Some people would probably look at this in two different ways, and I know that there are some people who have some skeptical thoughts on the console. I myself don't really think I'm not really thinking about it too skeptically. I'm pretty excited for it, because I think that they're going to make an Animal Crossing game that is actually almost word for word what I wanted kind of when I was playing the Animal Crossing New Leaf on the Nintendo 3DS. When I was playing that game, I actually basically had the idea for the Nintendo Switch myself. And I know that sounds kind of weird, so let me explain the story. So essentially my idea is I was playing New Leaf a lot. I had played Animal Crossing New Leaf. It's probably my most played handheld game to date, and I was still in school at the time, so I had a bit more use for the handheld. Now that I'm not in school anymore, that has changed a bit, but even still. So it would be a game that I took with me almost everywhere. I would just flip it up, and I'd at least play it 20 minutes a day, usually. It wasn't often when I would miss one of these days of playing the game. But when I was playing it at home, I always felt like there was something missing. I was like, man, if only I could just hook this up to my Wii U, and just the graphics would look nicer, they'd look sharper, and that's really all I'd want, is just it would accommodate to the big screen, it would look nice on the big screen, it could play the same exact game, just on the big screen. And so, flash forward to NX rumors, and I'm hearing essentially that Nintendo would theoretically be combining both sides of their consoles, and I was thinking, while I had the idea for an Animal Crossing that functioned like that, it essentially led me to believe that if they made something like this, there's a lot of potential for interesting ideas. And wouldn't you know, turn around, they're actually making something that's pretty much word for word what I wanted in some sense. You'll be able to play your Animal Crossing game, which will look super fucking nice in HD if it looks anything remotely like Breath of the Wild. You get to fucking play your Animal Crossing game both at home and wherever you go. And literally that is word for word exactly what I want from an Animal Crossing game. Now, I know that you're probably wondering, okay, well, what other things do you have to say about this other than the Animal Crossing game? Well, relax, I'm getting to it. I also think that this has potential to make a lot of new games, like I said. Imagine a game that uses this as its sort of design philosophy, or even a game that incorporates it into the design, that you have to take it out of the controllers, you have to take the console out of its little home base sometimes to do a specific action in game. I don't know, that to me that wouldn't be so bad if they made it really, really like well contextualized and actually feel pretty cool, like pretty legit, like, oh, I'm physically removing this console from this thing and actually using it like it's a piece of tech from the game world or something. Something in theory like that I think would be very cool. And I know a lot of people aren't really too into gimmicks or whatever, but I personally think gimmicks are honestly awesome. Like, I'm always for new ideas that test what people expect from something that we put a label on. But you put a label on video games. This is what video games are, and they have to be this. No. Nintendo usually says no. Video games can be something different. Why do they always have to have the same controls? Basically, they're the ones who do the innovations. People call them gimmicks at first. It's like people who say VR is just a gimmick and it will die. I disagree completely, and I think that the NX and even the Wii goes to show that really, like, even if that gimmick of motion controls has definitely subsided, it's definitely nowhere near as prevalent as it was. I still think that the idea of motion controls is still good. And it's a good idea to keep in mind for the future. It's just, how do you go about incorporating them, and in what way? It's really about how you execute them, and if you can create games that have perfect motion control execution, which I haven't fully experienced yet, other than maybe VR. VR is the closest to that so far, but anyways, so yeah, my point is gimmicks are not a bad thing. I disagree that gimmicks are a bad thing. You know, you don't have to just stick to what you know. You don't have to always, create the same concepts over and over again. And I know Nintendo is guilty of doing something similar with that. They do recreate their game ideas frequently. Whatever. So let me just conclude this video by saying I am very excited for the Nintendo Switch. I will be getting one on launch day. I can guarantee you that. Will you be getting a Nintendo Switch? What do you think of it? I would like to know. Please do inform me in the comments below if you're interested. And if you've listened this far, I want to thank you for watching.